Okay, well, no journey starts without an action plan. And here is the action plan. Now, keep in mind, we need to be able to really map out what we want to do and how we plan on doing this. So, an action plan is so important. I always give an example and say, if we're driving, say, we're New Yorkers from New York to California, I better have a map, and that map better tell me which way to go and how to get there. So could you imagine if I'm driving New York to California, no map, no way to get there, no way to know if I'm on the right toll roads, if I'm even going in the right direction. So an action plan is so critical in anything that we do. And in our real estate business, it is the most important thing. So what we're going to do today, we're going to get into what are the steps in your action plan, just from a very high level, just to make sure that we actually have the right action plan in place. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, and this is going back to pillar number one, if you watch the four pillar videos, if not, please go watch them, is set up your systems. So you're most likely either in Facebook where you're seeing this video, or you're up on our Westchester County Investor Club website, and there should be something that says a resource page. Now, on that resource page, you'll find all the systems that we use in our current business, and I highly recommend you check them out. Do you have to use all those systems? Absolutely not. Is it a great place to start? Yeah, it certainly is. So I would say check out the systems that we use. When I say systems, just so we're all on the same page, I'm talking about the phone system. I'm talking about the CRM. I'm talking about the website. I'm talking about the lists that we use for mailing. I'm talking about pretty much everything that we use to run our day-to-day business. So I'm sure everybody realizes you can't just go out there and start getting leads and have a business that is going to be fully functioning unless you have systems in place. So really, this is all part of pillar number one, which is the foundation, but you need to set up systems. So again, check out the link. There's a resource link that should be right below this video if you're on the our website. If not, in Facebook, it's going to be on Facebook as well. You can find that. So again, check out the systems that we use and definitely start setting them up right now. So setting up your systems is really step one of our action plan. Okay, we're staying in pillar number one, building your real estate team of the future. Who is on this real estate team? So let's just give some of the people that are on the real estate team. We've got, in no specific order, we have lawyers, we have title companies, we have home inspectors, we have lenders, we have traditional banks, we have our mold remediators, we have our rehab team. Every single person, I think at some point we had 60 some odd people on our power team. Other people have way more than that, or other investors have way more than that on their power team. But we need to build out our team. And I mentioned this back in the first pillar. When I say build out the team, it's not, oh, okay, I know John Smith does deals in Westchester County, so I'm going to use John Smith as a lawyer. Call John Smith, introduce yourself, explain what you're doing. John Smith may say, you know what, I would love to, but I'm not taking on any more clients. Same can go with a home inspector. You can call up a great home inspector. They may say, I am so busy. I'm probably 4 weeks out. Well, guess what? You're in contract and you have a week to do your due diligence. That's not going to work, right? So you really, when I say you want to call, you want to create relationships, you want to start networking, you want to build your team so that by the time you have that deal, you're not scrambling. How am I going to fund this? Who's going to do the diligence? How is this going to work? You have that team in place. This is literally building the foundation and is foundational. So focus on building this real estate team. Funding. I touched on funding a little bit. We need to get our deals funded. So when we get to the closing table, a lot of times what happens once an investor gets that first offer accepted is they can't close it. Why? Because they're so shocked that they actually got the deal accepted, and now they don't know how to fund it. They haven't done the homework. They didn't do, they didn't follow our four pillars. They didn't lay a foundation. So you need to get your funding in place. We have those traditional lenders that we talked about that are usually great for those types of loans that are more longer term. That traditional bank financing is usually the cheapest, hardest to get, and takes the longest, but you've got to do a ton of homework to get to those banks that want to work with you, because not all these banks are going to want to work with you. because you don't really fit the criteria as to what they're looking for. The second type of funding that we talk about is we talk about hard money lenders and we talk about asset-based lenders. The most critical lender or critical piece of this puzzle, and I think you've probably heard us talk about this before, are private lenders. You need private lenders. This business runs on private lenders. Private lenders are the best. They are the most stable source. They're usually the easiest to work with. And it is something that, as a real estate investor, if you're going to be in this business, you need to develop a private lending network. And obviously, we have a ton of resources and information about how to build out a private lending network. But just suffice it to say, you need private lenders. How do you start? Aunts, uncles, cousins, parents, let people know what you're doing. Usually you start with friends and family and it branches from there. That's what happened in our business. But you need to get your funding right. And again, key focus on private lenders here. Okay, market research. Again, we're still living in this first pillar, and it's all about the foundation. Market research. You're going to actually save a ton of time, energy, and keep yourself safe when you've done your market research. Why? Because certain markets are great for flipping, they're great for wholesaling, creative. You're going to play in those markets, in those price points. And how are you going to know that? Because you've done your homework. You've done days on market, you've seen the absorption rate in these markets, you've looked at the median price points, and you know this is a market I want to be in. So it's really, really critical. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over to build this foundational piece. And here it's the research that goes into figuring out, is this a market I want to be in? Will this market support what I'm trying to do? And then really, if the answer is yes, that's your market. I really strongly recommend, and as we talked about this, a little bit in one of the other pillars, you're going to work with real estate agents that know the market. You're also going to learn the market yourself. You're going to study the statistics, and you're going to figure out if you're in the right market. So this is a critical piece of that action plan. Okay, so now you're ready to start your marketing, which is awesome because you've done all the foundational pieces necessary. So now you actually start marketing. We like to talk about the pinwheel approach to marketing. That is that whole essential pinwheel where you have the free ads and the paid ads, and you are starting to spend some money and time generating leads. And you are able to generate leads confidently because you know that you have a system and a process. You can actually take a deal to completion, and you're feeling much more comfortable here to be able to go out and market and get leads. Now, do you have to spend money on paid leads? No. A lot of times we recommend people start with free leads. So there's plenty of free ways to get leads and to start marketing. And what will happen eventually is you'll have a lead network where leads are going to just start coming in because you built this lead machine, which is really the key to what you're doing in this particular part of your action plan. So the marketing is obviously one of the most critical pieces, but we can't start here. It has to be part of the action plan. But again, the action plan is sequential. And this is now where the marketing starts. Okay, now we're jumping out to the last pillar, which is pillar number 4. So these are smart investing strategies. Here, once you've marketed and now you have lead flow, you have to figure out, well, how am I going to best use this lead, or what can I do here? Now, some of these are going to be quick cash sales, and that's going to be wholesaling. Some of them are going to be much better for fix and flip because the spreads are much larger, and that's going to be the fix and flip, obviously. And some of them are going to be great buy and holds. So then you're going to figure out what to do. And some are creative, where they may not have a lot of equity, or they may have negative equity, but you can do some creative deals to make a win-win for you and the seller. So we call this stage transactional engineering. Don't be a one-trick pony. It's really where you need to be able to use the skills and specialized knowledge that you've developed in order to really be able to take each of these leads and monetize them. Now, I will warn you that it does take a lot more time, a lot more education, a lot more knowledge to get to the point where you could actually use multiple different investing strategies, but it's well worth it because a lot of new investors, what do? They say, let me just wholesale. And now this deal, they can't wholesale. So what happens? It's not a deal. But for someone like us, that is a transactional engineer and we have many tools in our tool belt, guess what? Yeah, this is a deal for us because we can do 5 different strategies or 4 different strategies. Within those 4 strategies, we have multiple other strategies within the major strategy. So really, it's about obtaining specialized knowledge so that you could handle the leads that you get in a very I want to say educated way because it isn't a very educated way, but it's also a systematic way because you'll say, well, this doesn't necessarily fit great as a wholesale lead. This is a better fix and flip, or vice versa. Or it's a, this is something that I could do some type of special terms on, etc. So again, all about specialized knowledge here and all about becoming a transactional engineer. Okay, so awesome. Now we're at the point where we have that lead. We figured out the best exit strategy, how we can create a win-win for us and the seller. And now we have the contract. And as we've talked about before, there are 4 uh, distinct phases within that contract. So once you have an accepted offer, that's awesome. And especially in our New York tri-state area where the lawyers are involved, it gets a little more complicated. So we have to make sure that we have the special clauses in our contracts to protect ourselves. We also have to make sure that we have special clauses to allow us if we want to assign it or we want to do something else as an exit strategy that are in our contract. So this is really the stage where specialized knowledge is also critical here because you have to understand the contract process for a few reasons. Number one, so that you can do whatever exit strategy you choose to. And number two, to keep you safe. So this is really another piece of the action plan where you just need to have that specialized knowledge to get you where you need to be. All right, our favorite. This is where we're closing the deal. So this is awesome. We finally got ourselves to the closing table, and a lot of investors never get to this point because they freeze. They haven't done all the work necessary to get to the point, to line up their funding, to line up, to figure out their exit strategy, to figure out what strategy they're going to use to dispo this deal. So this is awesome. And this is really where the culmination of our money happens. But it's the beginning, right? Because now we close the deal. So if it's a fix and flip, now the rehab process starts. And of course, we have a whole process for rehabbing. But this is really the end of the process here and the beginning of the next process, depending upon what our strategy is. So this is really what we're aiming to do. And then we're going to rinse and repeat here. So I know this is a lot of information that I'm from New York, so I'm talking quickly. So I hope that everybody's following me, but I'm excited and I have a lot to share, but there's only so much I can share, in a 10-minute video or so. So I think you've already went through our 4 pillars into a little bit more detail, because if not, then definitely check it out. We have a video that goes through each of these pillars, but suffice it to say that this really is the overarching action plan. We can't go from pillar 1 to pillar 4 without doing the work and without obtaining specialized knowledge. So I can tell you that this business, I say this over and over, it is not rocket science. However, you want to really work with someone that knows what they're doing, someone that has a system and a process. You yourself want to set yourself up for success. You don't want to just go in here willy-nilly and say, hey, let me make a couple offers, let me get a deal in contract, because you're not going to have a business there. You may get a deal or two, but it's ultimately not going to be able to scale, and you're not going to get repeatable results. So real quick, we've got the 4 main pillars: the foundation, prospect to contract, contract to closing, and investing strategies. Each of these pillars has to be completed before we can complete the next. So this was a very high level overview of what we're doing. I really am excited that you're actually part of our community now. I hope to see you at one of our events. Come to one of our 3 days. Maybe if you're the right fit and you're coachable, you can come get coached by one of us, which would be awesome. But it's just super exciting that you've actually taken the step and taken action. So I applaud you for that. And I really, really look forward to seeing you in our community. And once again, congrats and best of luck to you, and hope to see you soon. Take care.